All right, let's move on then. So that will wrap up our movie section. Let's talk about television, and we always start the television section with the sports corner.
Do sports time, and
Yes.
it's in January, which means the Australian Open continues. Well, wraps up this upcoming weekend, where we have a number one versus number two situation in the men's bracket, where Sinner, our number one ranked tennis player in the world, will take on Zverev, the number two, the newly crowned number two uh, men's tennis player in the world,
Yeah.
as he beat Djokovic in the semis in a shocking turn of events. Although
I'm
not that
shocked.
shocking because he's ranked number two. So I was like, oh, like I don't know who this guy is at number two, but apparently, you know, times are changing. Over in the
I see what you did there.
yes, over in the women's bracket at number one, uh, we have number one overall ranked Sabalenka coming in, and should have been playing number two, uh, famous Iga Swiatek, although she faltered in the extra sets at the semis, which left number 14 Keys from the US in the finals over there. So we could have the rare 1-2 versus 1-2 to start the year,
Hmm.
but didn't. Those finals will be this upcoming weekend, so we'll know who is our open winners next time.
Okay.
Over into, let's just jump into the NHL real quickly. The Four Nations Face Off. We are 2 weeks away. That starts on the 12th. Players are already starting being pulled for practicing as the replacement of the All Star game will kick off in just a matter of weeks here. NBA still going. That
Yeah.
uh, the playoff, not the playoffs, the All Star game voting continues. Uh, All Star game will take place end of February, as it always does.
Okay.
And just a reminder, trade deadline is February 6th for the NBA. All right, let's get into baseball. I thought you were going to say
Yes.
football there, but I'm talking about baseball because we had a big baseball news this past week. The Baseball Hall of Fame in as announced that it will induct three new members. We have pitcher and closer CC Sabathia, who helped the Red Sox win its first World Series.
Hmm.
We have Billy Wagner, who finally got in on his 10th ballot.
Wow.
If he did not get in, he would have been relegated to the baseball historians,
Hmm.
and whether he would get in later down the line. But then we were all watching, not would he get in on the first ballot, but how much would he get on the first ballot?
Yes.
We're talking about Ichiro Suzuki, famous MLB player. And sure enough, first ballot Hall of Famer, as he should be.
Hmm.
But there's a little caveat there because there's
Yeah.
always one writer out there who thinks no one should ever get in on the first ballot, no matter how good you were.
Yes.
And because of that, Ichiro Suzuki was one vote shy of being unanimously selected and would have only
Yep.
been the second player to have that honor, which
I mean,
means
it, yeah.
Mariano Rivera continues to be the only baseball player in all of baseball to get a unanimous selection to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be that way for a very long time, probably until we're talking about Shohei Ohtani in however many years.
What? Oh, come on. You don't think Albert Pujols is a first ballot Hall of Famer
No, I
unanimous
don't.
vote?
I think if Suzuki isn't, Pujols isn't, Trout isn't. Like, I think that you're talking about the upper echelon, and the
Yeah.
upper echelon can't even be unanimous anymore.
Derek Jeter wasn't even unanimous because that one guy in
No.
Boston.
So, yeah, that's a perfect example of why I don't think it'll happen until Ohtani. And
Yeah.
that'll be a long time from now.
What do you mean? He's retiring next year. He's already got Hall of Fame stats.
He's quitting early.
He has the money to do so.
I know, but he's gonna wait until it pays out. Remember, he has to wait.
Yes. No, see, what he's gonna do is he's gonna retire, wait till he gets in the Hall of Fame based on his previous 6 years, and then come back and play as a Hall of Fame player in the MLB,
We'll
and then
see.
just be a double Hall of Famer.
Double Hall of Famer. Yeah, because he's all about firsts, that Otani.
Yep.
But anyway, we're not talking about Otani. We're talking about Suzuki. And yeah, you know what? I think this is earned. I think that despite it not being unanimous, I still think that this is quite an honor, and definitely I think puts him into that rarefied air that so very few baseball players are in.
Definitely so. Um, the cutoff of it being three people is because you have to get 75% of
Yes.
the Writers Baseball of America to vote you in. If you don't get that 75%, you have to wait till next year, which is what happened to Carlos Beltran, who
Yeah.
fell 19 votes shy of that 75% threshold.
So not yet, but maybe next time.
Yep. Like I say, there's always next year, unless you're
Yes.
on the 10th time. Then there is no next year. All right. Let's then go over to the football side of news, where the D League officially wrapped up.
Yes.
The Ohio State defeats number 7 Notre Dame football team 34-23 in a pretty lackluster college football playoff championship game.
It's what I heard as well, is that everybody was very underwhelmed by what happened.
Well, Ohio State got out in front, stayed out in front, and just kept pestering Notre Dame, and they couldn't get anything going. They only had
Mhm.
like a field goal in the second half, so it just dominant performance,
Yeah.
but not unheard of as the Ohio State on their way to the college football champions beat the number 1 seeded Oregon and the number 5 seeded Texas. Both teams were at some point throughout the past year ranked as the number 1 team according to the AP poll during the season.
Hmm.
So makes sense that hey, if you're going to be the number 1 team, you might as well beat the number 1 team on their way to being crowned the
Yeah.
number 1 team.
That's how that should work.
And that's how it's going to work now because thanks to the expanded college football playoffs. Because, like I
Right.
said, seeded at number 8, you that even the past year, last year, they wouldn't have gotten in. Wait, would
No.
they? For yeah, they would have. Because it was two, 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 two. So 8. Yeah, they would have been just been there at the 8th. But expanded 12 teams, and you get this kind of chaos.
Sure. But it's chaos that works.
Yes, unless you're in the NFL, in which case there's only one team that's causing chaos everywhere.
Yeah.
That is the number 6 seeded Commanders team. Washington Commanders upset the number 1 seeded Lions team because they had a bye. And Jaden Daniels is on a Madden type level game right now,
Yeah.
going from winning the Heisman last year to one game away from making the Super Bowl the
Yeah.
following year.
Are you positive that this isn't your someone awesome character burst out of the DVD or Blu-ray or whatever and become real?
I am actually possibly. Wait, no, because I never went to the SEC. I never played as LSU. Although, but
Although,
he's going to be our new creative character for the NFL now.
yeah, yeah, move over, Aaron Judge. We have a new creative character in sports.
And he's over in Washington. But yeah, it will be an NFC East showdown as the Commanders will take on the Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
Yes.
Over in the AFC Championship game, we have once again the meeting of the Bills versus the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
They're
With the
going
Chiefs
for that
making,
three-peat.
well, the Chiefs have made the AFC Championship game for 7 straight years. And they've won that game 6 out of the past seven
Yep.
straight years.
All right. Here we go then. What do you think's gonna happen? Who do you think your Super Bowl is?
The Super Bowl everyone wants, and what I've seen online is Bills versus Commanders.
That would be
Josh
more
Allen,
interesting.
yeah, it'd be more interesting. Give me two running quarterbacks up against each other. Although you are going to get that in the AFC game, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels versus Jaden Hurts. But to see the Chiefs go for the three-peat could be something special, if a bit boring. especially if you have the Chiefs versus the Commanders, which feels like a very David versus Goliath
Yeah.
situation going on. However, if you have the Chiefs versus the Eagles, then you get to see the Chiefs. Well, one, two. So first off, you get to see both the most hated fan bases currently go at each other's throats. Two, you get to see if the Eagles trade for Saquon Barkley this past offseason actually pays off for them winning a Super Bowl. And if
Could
so,
be.
does that ultimately reset the running back market and you can see a bunch of running backs getting paid, which should be the case for the NFL.
I
As
mean,
much as
that
I don't
seems
want the Eagles to
favorable.
win, I want that narrative though.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would rather it be the interesting choice. Say what you will about the Chiefs, but like, oh boy, are we done with them at this point? I think maybe we are.
Well, most people are, but then again, that's what we all said about Tom Brady and the Patriots,
Yes.
and here we are again with it.
Like at least Patrick
Well,
Mahomes is not as questionable as maybe the person he chose to marry. But I can talk about that here.
that's okay. Just a little side note: Andy Reid, upon winning last week, recorded his 300th career win, both
Wow.
regular season and playoffs. To put that into
Congrats.
perspective, you only play 17 games a year,
Yeah,
so
it's a lot.
even if you go, if even if you win 15 games every year, which is an astounding record,
Yeah,
you still have to win 20 years worth of 15 games.
that's a lot of games.
He's been around for quite a long time.
Turns out. Anyway.
It will be funny if it is Chiefs or Eagles because Andy Reid did coach the Eagles before he went to the Chiefs. So he
Hmm.
sees some of that shade being thrown too.
All right.
And you get essentially a rematch of Chiefs versus Eagles,
Yeah.
except one less Kelsey on the field.
Just one.
Just one. Because he's busy doing late night.
It's true. Yeah, he's hosting things now.
Well, yeah, they call it late night with Jason Kelsey.
It's confusing because
That is the
that's a
name of the
different
show.
thing.
That's the name
Yeah,
of
that's
the
a
show.
different thing though. Can't just call it that.
No.
Anyway, anything else sports wise, or is that it?
Uh, I mean, we'll find out who's going to be in the Super Bowl next weekend, but then we have to
Yep,
wait one more week as the
for
actual
it to
Super
happen.
Bowl won't take place until February 9th.
Got it.